In the summer of 1936, along a dry creek bed near the small town of London in central Texas, a couple out for an afternoon walk stumbled upon something that would quietly shake the foundations of established science, not with fanfare, not with headlines, but with a single, unremarkable object, half buried in ancient stone. Max Hahn and his wife Emma noticed a piece of rock with what appeared to be a wooden stick protruding from it. Curious, they picked it up, carried it home, and set it on a shelf. For years, it sat there gathering dust, just another curiosity from a Sunday afternoon walk. It was not until their son George cracked open the rock in 1947 that the true mystery revealed itself. Inside the stone, perfectly encased, was a hammer. Not a primitive stone tool, not a crude artifact from an ancient civilization. A hammer with a metal head and a wooden handle that looked, by all appearances, as though it could have been made in the last few centuries. The problem? The rock encasing it was estimated to be somewhere between 100 million and 400 million years old. And that is where the story gets very strange indeed. The object is now known as the London Hammer, named after the Texas town near where it was found, and it currently resides at a small museum in that same town where visitors can examine it in person. At first glance, it looks almost disappointingly ordinary. The head measures roughly 6 inches in length and 1 inch in diameter. The handle, though now broken and partially fossilized, still retains its wooden structure. But it is the geological context that transforms this ordinary-looking tool into one of the most debated artifacts in the world. The rock formation in which the hammer was found is part of what geologists identify as the Cretaceous-era Edwards Plateau region, though some analyses have pointed to even older Ordovician or Devonian rock layers in the surrounding area. The precise geological dating of the encasing nodule has been a central point of contention ever since researchers began examining it seriously. If the rock truly formed during those ancient periods, then the hammer inside it presents a timeline that is, by conventional understanding, completely impossible. Human beings, as we understand them, did not exist 100 million years ago. They certainly did not exist 400 million years ago. And yet, there it was. The Hahn family, by all accounts, were ordinary people with no particular motivation to fabricate a hoax. They were not scientists, not showmen, not people seeking fame or financial gain. They simply found something strange and held on to it. When researchers eventually began studying the artifact more closely in the 1980s, they found no obvious signs of deliberate fraud or planting. The hammer appeared genuinely embedded within the surrounding stone, not placed there artificially. A metallurgical analysis conducted during that period produced results that added yet another layer of intrigue. The metal head of the hammer was found to be composed of approximately 96% iron, with small amounts of chlorine and sulfur. What surprised analysts was the near absence of carbon, which is unusual for iron tools made in recent centuries, as carbon is typically introduced during the smelting process. Even more striking was the surface of the iron itself. The outer layer had partially transformed into a form of iron oxide, but the interior, when cut open for examination, revealed metal that was described as bright and still somewhat flexible, a condition that some metallurgists found difficult to reconcile with extreme age, but that others found equally difficult to explain away as modern manufacture. The wooden handle had begun a process of coalification, meaning it was slowly turning into coal, a transformation that, under normal conditions, takes an extraordinarily long time. So what do we make of all this? The scientific community has largely approached the London Hammer with cautious skepticism, and there are rational explanations that deserve serious consideration. One of the most compelling involves a process called concretion. Concretions are geological formations in which minerals and groundwater gradually accumulate around an object, forming a hard shell of rock over a surprisingly short period of time, sometimes within decades or a few centuries rather than millions of years. Under this explanation, the hammer could be a relatively recent tool, perhaps from the 1700s or 1800s, that was lost or discarded near the creek. Over time, mineral-rich water could have deposited layers of calcium carbonate and other materials around it, creating what appears to be an ancient stone encasement, but is actually a much younger formation. This explanation is geologically sound and has been applied to similar cases around the world. Objects as varied as coins, bottles, and even animal bones have been found encased in rock-like concretions that formed within human lifespans. If this is what happened with the London Hammer, then the mystery dissolves into a fascinating but ultimately mundane geological process. The hammer becomes an old tool, nothing more. But the concretion theory does not fully satisfy everyone who has studied the artifact. Critics of this explanation point out that the surrounding material was not a loose concretion but appeared to be part of a larger, continuous rock formation. They argue that the geological survey of the area needs to be conducted with far greater rigor before the concretion explanation can be accepted as definitive. And here is where the investigation runs into a significant obstacle. The artifact has never undergone a fully independent, comprehensive geological and radiometric analysis. The rock matrix itself has not been formally dated using modern techniques in a peer-reviewed scientific context. Without that data, both the conventional and unconventional explanations remain incomplete. The London hammer does not stand alone in this strange landscape of what researchers sometimes call out-of-place artifacts, or OOPArts, objects that appear in geological or historical contexts where they should not exist according to mainstream science. There are documented cases from across the world that share a similar quality of defying easy categorization. In 1844, a piece of iron was reportedly found embedded within a block of sandstone quarried from a Scottish hillside. In the late 1800s, a gold chain was allegedly discovered inside a lump of coal in Illinois. In the 1970s, a researcher examining ancient coal deposits in the United States reported finding what appeared to be a small metallic sphere with precise grooves carved around its circumference, recovered from rock estimated at nearly 3 billion years old. Each of these cases has been met with varying degrees of scientific scrutiny, and each remains, to different extents, unresolved. Some have been explained as misidentified natural formations, others as probable hoaxes, and still others as genuine anomalies that have not been adequately studied. The pattern is consistent. An object appears where it should not be, generates intense debate, and then fades from mainstream attention without a definitive conclusion. The theories surrounding the London hammer fall into several broad categories, each with its own internal logic and its own set of problems. The first is the concretion theory already described, a modern or semi-modern tool encased by rapid mineral deposition. Simple, plausible, but unconfirmed. The second is the idea of a hoax or misidentification, that the hammer was planted, or that the Hahn family or subsequent researchers misunderstood what they were looking at. This theory struggles against the apparent sincerity of the finders and the lack of any clear motive or evidence of fabrication. The third category ventures into far more contested territory. The possibility that the hammer is evidence of a human or human-like civilization that existed far earlier than the fossil record currently suggests. This idea, sometimes grouped under the broader concept of alternative prehistory, proposes that technological civilizations may have risen and fallen multiple times throughout Earth's deep history, leaving only scattered traces that mainstream science has not yet integrated into its models. Proponents point to the London hammer, along with other OOPArts, as fragments of a lost chapter in human history. Critics respond that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that a single, unstudied artifact cannot bear the weight of rewriting millions of years of paleontological and geological research. A fourth theory, favored in certain fringe communities, involves the idea of time displacement or intervention by non-human intelligences, concepts that belong more comfortably in the realm of speculation than investigation. These ideas are worth acknowledging because they reflect how deeply the artifact has captured the human imagination, even if they cannot be tested or falsified in any meaningful scientific way. What remains genuinely unexplained, even after decades of discussion, is surprisingly substantial. The precise geological age of the encasing rock has never been formally determined through radiometric dating. The metallurgical composition of the hammerhead, particularly that unusual near absence of carbon, has not been fully accounted for by any widely accepted explanation. The partial coalification of the wooden handle has not been conclusively timed. And perhaps most importantly, the artifact has never been subjected to the kind of rigorous, multidisciplinary, peer-reviewed scientific study that would be required to either confirm or rule out the most dramatic interpretations. The London hammer sits in its glass case in that small Texas museum, patient and silent as it has for decades. Thousands of visitors have stood before it, peering at the rough stone encasement and the iron head within, asking the same questions that Max and Emma Hahn could not have anticipated when they bent down to pick up a curious rock along a Texas creek in 1936. Was it lost by a frontier-era worker, slowly encrusted by minerals over a few centuries? Is it a remnant of something that science has not yet learned to account for? Or does it occupy some middle ground, a genuine anomaly that reveals not the existence of ancient civilizations, but the limits of our current methods for understanding the deep past? The questions do not resolve neatly. They do not point clearly in one direction. And that, perhaps, is the most honest thing that can be said about the London hammer. It is not proof of anything. It is a question, a physical, iron-headed, wooden-handled question, sitting in a rock, waiting for someone with the right tools and the right methodology to finally provide an answer. But here's what makes the waiting feel urgent. Recent advances in non-invasive geological scanning and isotopic analysis could, theoretically, provide far more precise data about the rock formation surrounding the hammer than any previous study has achieved. The technology now exists to potentially resolve this mystery. Whether the will and the resources will be directed toward doing so remains, itself, an open question. If you found yourself genuinely gripped by this mystery, you are not alone, and there are more stories like this one waiting for you here. Drop your own theory about the London hammer in the comments below, because some of the most interesting perspectives on cases like this come not from laboratories, but from curious minds asking the right questions. If you want to keep exploring the edges of what we think we know, subscribing means you will be there when the next strange case opens up. The world is full of objects, places, and events that refuse to be explained away, and we are just getting started.